For more on this, we are joined by geopolitical analyst Ali K. Elyader, live from Isfahan. Thank you, Mr. Elyader, for your time to Asia One News. So, Iranian advisor to Supreme Leader has said that Hormuz is more important than nuclear. So, can you tell us what does this mean?
Thank you for having me once again. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz is more important and more significant than any nuclear weapon that any country could have. And Iran has obviously realized this during the war. And perhaps it was courtesy that it was not using the leverage in the Strait of Hormuz prior to the Ramadan war. However, since it was met with aggression through these waterways, through the Strait of Hormuz and countries to the south of Strait of Hormuz, Iran took it upon itself to defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty by controlling, managing, administrating the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, the energy flows that are coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and the lack of which are coming out of the Strait of Hormuz caused immense pressure on global energy supplies, meaning many countries were tapping into their strategic oil reserves, including the United States of America, where their strategic oil reserves have reached a critical point of only 10 to 14 million barrels remaining. Therefore, because countries tapped into their strategic oil reserves and started depleting them to manage their energy needs and also manage the market prices of global Brent, global oil prices, this provided immense leverage for Iran. And the instigators of the war are obviously to blame for this chaos that is happening and the stress on the global economy. Therefore, when you put it in comparison to a nuclear weapon, which might have a deterrent factor, but it will not have the same economic implications as a waterway like the Strait of Hormuz has, and an economic deterrent, as we have all seen from this war, is perhaps much larger than a nuclear deterrent.
So, can you tell us what's driving Iran's decision to target multiple Gulf states?
Just prior to me coming on, I heard a piece of news also aired from your side, where let's say 500 million barrels or a large amount of oil has moved through the Strait of Hormuz since late May and since the, let's say, ceasefire and MOU have been signed. A lot of this safe passage was administered and coordinated through Iran and Iranian waterways with the supervision of Iranian armed forces. Therefore, a revert or a coming back to track to normalcy in the Strait of Hormuz was coordinated via Iran, not via the United States. And when Iran sees it as a matter of national security and a matter of an existential matter, it will not let go of its supervisions on the Strait of Hormuz. It will not let go of its goggles on the Strait of Hormuz because it does not want a repeat of the war of aggression against its territory. Therefore, when Iran sees that ships and passageways through the southern gates of the Strait of Hormuz are coordinated without the coordination and cooperation of Iran, it sees this as a clear violation of point number 5 in the Memorandum of Understanding, and it sees this as adventurism and provocation from the American side. Iran clearly notes that the Americans pressure and coerce the Arab neighbors, the GCC countries, into trying to open up these safe passages. So Iran reacts by first firing maybe warning shots and inflicting even minimum damage to these ships to make sure that they adhere to the proper administrative channels that are coordinated with Iran and with Oman. Anything beyond that, Iran sees as a threat and a provocation. And that's why it reacts to ships turning off their GPS and trying to move in the shadows through the Strait of Hormuz without Iran's supervision.
Iran still salvage Islamabad memorandum of understanding, especially after Trump has said that the deal with Iran is over?
I think the person who needs to salvage the memorandum of understanding is the Trump administration and the people that adhered or at least signed duly the memorandum of association that Pakistan coordinated. Because, as I've said in the past, the Iranian economy is one that was created through sanctions and conflict. Iran has a better resistance to global the global economic unrest that is to follow because it has an economy of resistance. Therefore, time is on Iran's side as time goes by, and also the geographic asymmetric dominance that Iran already has in the Persian Gulf area was also apparent for everybody to see. Iran knows that the American stockpiles of military equipment, from their THAAD missile systems to their Patriot missiles, are in depletion. So Iran knows that the Americans will not have the same appetite for a continuous, ongoing war of attrition. Therefore, Iran holds the cards. It still has more leverage that it could use, such as the Bab el Mandab in Yemen, in coordination with its Yemeni Ansar Allah allies. Plus, as I said, the global oil reserves are at a critical point, including the American oil reserves. And since Donald Trump is facing congressional elections, Donald Trump is facing pressure from inside the diplomatic, inside his own populace through his relationship with Israel, and many Americans want the Trump administration to detach from its relationship with Israel. As the war goes by, they're going to be blaming the Trump administration for this economic catastrophe, and they're going to blame his relationship with Israel as well. Therefore, the pressure is on the American side to reach a settlement. The allies in the region, America's Gulf allies, will also be feeling the economic pinch as well, and they will also assert pressure on the Americans to maybe get back to diplomacy. So I think this is a lot of saber rattling and a lot of disruption that will fizzle down because the economic pressure is going to be immense. And I think eventually time is on Iran's side more than it is on the American side. And I think they will probably get back to diplomacy.